Well, I may have broken it. Alright, back to the drawing board. Oh, you see that? Looks like there's some smoke from the battery terminal. She should be starting. Alright guys, if you remember my last Citroen repair video, we had the black one and then we had a third one here that we needed to fix. Well, that's not what I'm working on today. What I am working on today is the fourth Citroen. That's right, 4 broken Citroens, which is pretty ridiculous because I am fast becoming the Arizona premier Citroen repair facility because I don't know anybody else in the valley that has ever worked on one of these. So, what's wrong with this one? Well, same thing as the black one. The black one wouldn't start, and this one also will not start. This one is a petrol engine, which is very cool. And it appears that it's having a similar issue. Turn it on and it will not start. So we probably have some sort of an electrical gremlin, and I only have 2 days before this has to be towed away and sent to a some type of an event or whatever where it will be used as a mobile bar. So it's the same process as the black one. Figure out why it's not running and get it running. So let's get started. Alright, I've got the covers off so we can take a look and see what's going on. Now, I actually have worked on this one before. I worked on this one and the black one at the same time. The black one, if you remember when I redid the starter on it, had to build that adapter. Well, within the same week, this one broke down too, and it was the exact same thing. The starter wasn't working. Now, in this case, the starter was spinning, but it wasn't engaging. So the starter gear wasn't active. Alright, so I went into a very long-winded explanation of what I did last time to fix the starter on the Citroen, and while I was editing, it was very boring and technical. So I decided I would pull off the starter to show you what I did last time. So the issue that I was having was that the starter gear was not engaging with the flywheel. So this was not popping out here. Now, when I took it apart, I found out that the shaft here is keyed. So this specific type of starter relies on centrifugal force to force the starter gear out to engage with the flywheel, and then it continues to turn the flywheel and get the vehicle running. Now, if there is enough resistance on this shaft here, when you send power to it, it starts up slowly, and when it starts slowly, there's not enough centrifugal force to force this gear into the flywheel. That's what was happening before. It was a pretty simple fix. I just had to replace this front bearing, and then I had to grease the shaft, and that allowed it to pop back out, make engagement, start up the vehicle. Now, this was a little over a year ago, and this starter's been working flawlessly ever since then. Now I'll get back to the video. This starter's been working fine, no problem. And then about 6 months after that, so this is probably a year ago now, they gave it to me because it wasn't starting at all, and the air filter was totally clogged up, so I had to install, you see how it sticks out a little bit farther? I installed one from a riding lawnmower. I think that was the right size. I did have to replace all 4 spark plugs at the time. They were in terrible shape, and I had to re-gap them. They were all wonkadoo. So once I re-gapped them, the old spark plugs, it ran, so then I replaced it with new spark plugs. And then it was having issues with the fuel pump, so I disabled the mechanical pump, and I added this little Edelbrock low pressure pump that is just hooked up to the ignition switch here. So it was working fine, no problem. What's happening now is you flip the master switch on, you hear the pump engaging, so we know that the pump and the ignition coil are getting energy, but it doesn't want to start. Now, there's a possibility that this is going to be a super simple fix. If you look over here, you've got your starter relay, and you have your positive line right here, which should go to this switch here to start it. And then you've got this ground that's just sitting there. Now that ground should be the ground to the actual solenoid, and without that ground hooked up, it's not going to trigger it. So let me turn the switch on so you can hear. I'll flip the mic around so you can hear it's trying. The fuel pump is going, so the ignition should be working just fine. So I'll hook that up and see if maybe we get super lucky today. So I didn't realize that this relay was actually bolted to the, well, not the firewall, but this piece of metal here, and it looks like one of the screws fell. or was lost probably from vibration, and then it just fell down. It was just dilly dangling there. So we'll get that mounted back up, and then we'll use, oh, this just came undone. We'll plug this back in, so we'll ground this out, and we'll see if it starts. Alright guys, I've got the little, I guess it's not a solenoid, it's probably technically a relay, but I've got that all set up. I've got it mounted back up to the vehicle, and then I've got that connection grounded out, and we will find out if we are super duper duper lucky and this thing starts. Neutral, good to go. Alright, here we go. Alright, now I'm not even getting fuel. Let's see here. Ah, that's weird. Alright. Huh. What did I do? This is the ground, the positive. Well, the fuel pump was working a second ago when I turned on the master switch. Now nothing's working. Well, I may have broken it. Alright, back to the drawing board. If you see the voltage, this is not a 6-volt system. This is just a low battery. So I'll throw the jumper onto it, and then we'll see if she starts. Alright, I've got the jumper hooked up. Now let's see if she fires up. Okay, neutral, good to go. E-brake on. Okay, everything looks good. Master switch on, and let's see. Oh. She's trying. Oh, you see that? Looks like there's some smoke from the battery terminal. Alright, let's turn this off. We're clearly not getting great connections here. So, let me double check all the connections, and then we'll keep charging up this battery. Actually, I'll check the connections and I'll throw in a different battery. We'll see if she fires up then. Alright, so that battery would not take a charge. It was totally toast. So what I'm going to do is replace both of these cables and throw in a new battery. Alright, should be good to go. Let's see if it fires up. Alright, here we go. Ignition on, neutral. Fuel pump's going. She should be starting. Alright, let's see if there's another issue. Well, I didn't try it with the choke in here, so let's see. Well, boy, it doesn't sound like it even wants to start. Let me put a little Go Fast juice in there, see if that's the issue. Now, before I take the intake off here and put in a little bit of starting fluid, what I did was I hooked up my spark plug tester to see if it's getting spark. So I'll crank it over now and we'll see if we get light out of there. Yeah, it's definitely lighting, so we're definitely getting spark, just no fuel. So I'll take this off, squirt a little Go Fast juice, and we'll see if she works. Alrighty, let's give this a whirl. She started right up on that. This sucker might be out of fuel. Let's go see. Alright, I unhooked the fuel line. I've got it running into this, and I will turn on the pump and we'll see if she's pumping. Nothing. Homegirl's out of fuel. It's always something, huh? Alright. Well, I've got some in a jug. Let's throw some fuel in her and see if she fires. Alright, she's got fuel now. Let's see if this pump starts pumping. Nothing. Alright, let's see where our problem is. Now, I don't know if you guys can see this or not, but it is pretty dry rotted right there. So this sucker could be just sucking in air. So I'll replace this length of hose and then we'll see if she starts pumping. Alright, I've got the new line in there. Looks pretty good. I didn't have any low pressure line, so it's 225 PSI fuel line. So it's a little bit overkill for just a little bit of vacuum that it's going to see. Right now I have a vacuum pump here hooked up to that line, and it looks like, yeah, there it is. It's pulling fuel. So it's getting fuel through the line. So shouldn't have any air leaks. Should be good to go. Oh yeah, it's pulling good. Okay, so I'll unhook this, and then we'll see if she's pumping. Yay! 2 PSI of fury! Alright, so I will hook this back up, put that fuel back in the tank, and then test her out. Okay, what is this? Like, I don't know, round 4, round 5. Everything's hooked back up. Let's see what she can do. Ignition on. Fuel pump's trying. Neutral, ready to go. Let's give it a whirl. Look at that. Check it. I don't know if you guys can see the blow by. Probably not. I'm sure it's normal for this type of vehicle, but it's just something you don't see too often on newer cars. Alright, let me get the air filter back on and see how she drives. Alright, air filter's back on it. Let's see how she does now. Could use more mirrors. Or any mirrors. There's no mirrors in this whole thing. So I don't know if you could tell, but she wasn't backfiring once she was warmed up. I also wasn't getting into it too much. I'm sure if I would have really accelerated, it would have popped a little bit, but probably just needs a carburetor rebuild. There were no vacuum lines on that carb, so I don't think that it was a vacuum leak. I do think that it was inside the carb, the little accelerator pump diaphragm. I think that's probably worn out and you're just not getting that little squirt of fuel in there. So we're good to go on this because, like I said, these vehicles, these are mobile bars. They only go on and off the trailer and maybe 50 feet on site, and that's it. So it's good to go back into service. Now, as far as this Citroen goes, I'm not ready to tell you guys what I'm going to do with it quite yet, but it is going to be pretty cool. And just to give you a little clue, I will be changing out the powertrain. I will be removing the petrol engine that's in there, and I will be doing something else with it for power plant. So you can go ahead and guess in the comments, but that'll be pretty cool, and that's going to be actually as soon as I'm done with the Grumman. So keep an eye on the Grumman. It's very close to being done. The polisher is finishing up on it right now. I don't have much time left after that. And then after the Grumman, the next thing I'm going to take on is that third Citroen. So yeah, we did the 2CV, we did the black one. Actually, it's the fourth Citroen. I can't even keep track of these things, but that's it. Thanks for watching. Got nothing more. Tell your friends, subscribe, hit that notification button, and shoot some comments in there. Let me know what you guys think about this. All this work is making me quite parched.
Are you thirsty?
I am thirsty.
Here's your drink.
Thank you, sir.
Let's go bye-bye.
Hey, where are you going?
I can drive a car.
Do you have a driver's license?
No.
Do you know how to drive?
Yes.
All right, let's go.
But I'm only pretend driving.
Oh, okay, good.